folks, Chip here. Before you buy your next washing machine, I want to save you from making a mistake that I see every single week in the shop. Now I'm talking about people spending $800, $1,000, sometimes $1,500 or more on a washer only to find out later that they bought the wrong machine for what they actually needed. And here's the part that bothers me. Most of those mistakes were completely avoidable. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 washers, or really 5 types of washers that I would think twice about buying in 2026. Not because they're all junk, but because they can be the wrong choice for a lot of people if you don't understand what you're getting into. And I want you to stick with me all the way through this, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand not just what to avoid, but why people end up disappointed in these machines in the first place. And that's what's really going to help you make a better decision. Now let me say this right up front so nobody misunderstands what I'm doing here. This is not a worst washer ever made video. There's a big difference between a machine that is bad and a machine that's just a poor fit for most people. Every washer on this list has situations where it can make sense. But in the real world, in people's homes with real laundry, real loads, and real expectations, these are the ones that I see people regret buying. And that's coming from what I see come through my shop every single week. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 is the basic Samsung top-load washer. Now, I want to be careful how I say this, because people hear a brand name and they think you're talking about everything that a company makes, and that's not what I'm saying. Samsung builds some good-looking machines. They put a lot of features into them, and on paper they can look like a really good deal for the money. But here's what I see in the real world. Now, a lot of these basic top-load machines struggle with balance. And when a washer struggles with balance, everything else starts to go downhill. You get machines that take forever to finish a cycle. You get machines that keep stopping and trying to redistribute the load. You get spin cycles that never really reach the full speed, so your clothes come out wetter than they should. And from the customer's point of view, it feels like the washer just doesn't work right. Now here's something a lot of people don't think about when they're standing in a store looking at these machines. The way a washer handles the balance is one of the most important things it does, because every load you run is going to be a little different. Towels and jeans, mixed laundry, it's never perfectly even. So the machine has to manage that, and when it doesn't do that well, you feel it every single time you use it. Now the other issue I see with these is not just how they run, it's what happens when something goes wrong, because this is where a lot of people get caught off guard. They buy based on features, they buy based on price, they buy based on what looks good, but they don't think about service. And when something breaks, that's when you find out what kind of machine you really bought. Now, if you're looking at one of these basic Samsung top-load washers, I'm not telling you don't buy it. I'm telling you to slow down and compare it carefully to something like an LG or a GE top load before you make that decision. Because what looks like a good deal up front doesn't always feel like it 6 months later. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is the standard GE front load washers. And this one needs some context, because I'm not down on GE as a brand. GE makes some solid machines. Their top load washers are actually pretty good, and their GE profile front load machines are a step above the standard line. But here's where people get tripped up. They assume all GE front load washers are the same, and they're not. There's a difference between their standard models and their higher end profile models. And what I've seen, and what lines up with broader reliability trends, is that those standard front load units tend to need more service over time compared to some of the stronger performers in that category. Now, when you're comparing front-load washers, LG has been very consistent, and that's something I pay attention to, because consistency matters more than anything else in this business. You don't want a machine that's great sometimes and problems other times. You want something that performs the same way, load after load, year after year. So if you like GE, I'm not telling you to walk away. I'm telling you to be selective. Look at the model, understand what you're buying, and don't assume that just because it says GE on the front, it's automatically the best choice in that category. Now, number 3 is one I see all the time, the large, budget-friendly, impeller style top-load washers. This is a machine that sells on size, big tub, big capacity, it looks like you can wash anything in it. And usually it's priced just right to make you feel that you're getting a bargain. But here's the reality. Bigger is not always better when it comes to washing machines. What happens with these is people load them up the way they would one of these older agitator style washers, just stuff stuff in there. But these machines don't work the same way. An impeller relies more on water movement and load interaction. It doesn't have that center agitator physically moving the clothes around. So when you overload it, you're actually working against the design of the machine. Now the washer tries to compensate for that. Longer cycles, more attempts to balance the load, slower spins, and what you end up with is a machine that takes longer, works harder, and still doesn't give you the result you expected. And this is where people get frustrated because they bought a big washer thinking it was going to make their life easier, and it actually makes things more complicated. Now again, I'm not saying don't buy an impeller washer. I'm saying don't buy one just because it's big, because the size is what sells it, but the performance is what you've got to live with. Now number 4 is the all-in-one washer-dryer combo. And this is one where I really want to be fair because there are some decent machines in this category. There are some that do what they're designed to do pretty well. But here's the problem. Most people are buying them for the wrong reason. They see one machine that washes and dries and they think it's automatically going to be better, more convenient, more modern, more efficient. But what they don't think about is how that actually works in real life. Dry cycles take longer, load sizes are smaller, and if something goes wrong, now your washer and your dryer are both down at the same time. And that's a big deal because now you're not just dealing with one appliance being out of service, you're dealing with your entire laundry setup being down. Now if you're in a situation where space forces you into a combo unit, maybe you're in an apartment or maybe you've got a tight setup, then yeah, it makes good sense. But if you have the space for separate machines, that's still the better way to go. And number 5 is the feature-heavy compact washers, especially when service support in your area is kind of weak. And this is one a lot of people don't think about at all. Compact laundry can be excellent. In the right setup, it's a great solution. But here's where people get into trouble. They buy the most advanced feature-loaded compact machine they can find without even thinking about who's going to be working on it when something goes wrong. And with compact machines, that matters even more because they're more complex, they're more tightly built, and often they require more specialized service. So if you don't have good support in your area, you're taking a risk, and that's something I see catch people off guard all the time. So again, this is not me saying don't buy a compact. It's me saying match the machine to your situation. Make sure you can actually support what you're buying because features don't fix a machine when it breaks. People do. So those 5 washers are really 5 types of washers I'd think twice about buying in 2026. Not because every one of them is always bad, but because too many people are buying them for the wrong reasons. They're buying based on size, they're buying based on features, they're buying based on price, or just the name on the front, instead of thinking about how the machine's going to perform over time and it's going to be like to live with it. And that's really what matters. Now, if you're trying to figure out what you should buy instead, I've got a video where I break down the washers I would actually spend my money on, and I'm going to put it right here on the screen. If you're about to buy a washer, watch that next before you make a decision. It'll save you a lot of time and probably a lot of money. Thanks for watching. I'm Chip with Harper Knowles, and I'll see you in the next one.